There was one voice that stood out like a beacon of raw talent and passionate storytelling amid the vivid tapestry that was the 23rd season of American Idol. That voice was provided by John Foster. Using his soulful performances and his down-to-earth charm, the Louisiana-born country music sensation, who is only 19 years old, won the hearts of millions of people. However, many of the fans who rooted for John Foster each week were ignorant of a stunning fact. Foster is not his last name. The name is his middle name. His full name is John Foster Benoit. And the choice to perform under the name John Foster was not made on a whim of this individual. The young star recently gave an interview to the Fable House podcast, in which he discussed his Cajun heritage, the significance of his surname, and the reasons he chose a stage name that is congruent with his goals of becoming a country music artist. Since John Foster Benoit was born and reared in the very center of Louisiana, he was immersed in the abundant cultural legacy of the state that is known as the Bayou State. He expressed his pride by saying, "I'm from Louisiana, have a lot of Cajun heritage and a lot of French heritage," while he was on the podcast. His voice was filled with expressions of joy. According to the Cajun tradition, the name Benoit, which is pronounced Benoit, is a tribute to his French ancestry. This history can be traced all the way back to the Acadian settlers, who were responsible for shaping the distinctive identity of the region. The name has a profoundly significant meaning for John on a personal level. "My surname is Benoit," she said. "I have always been really proud of that particular accomplishment. I have always had a deep affection for my surname. For as long as I can remember, I've appreciated the concept of Benoit being French and serving as a representation of my history," he explained. The fact that Benoit is a rough translation of the English word blessed was revealed by John, which added another layer of meaning to the situation. "That has always been something that I have really loved," he remarked, reflecting on the way the name seems to be a subtle validation of his path. For a young guy whose life is anchored by his faith and his family, the concept of carrying a name that implies blessing is quite significant. Nevertheless, when it came to establishing a career in country music, John was confronted with a choice. He could either accept his full name, or he could create a stage persona that was in line with the customs of the genre. With its rich roots in American storytelling, country music frequently favors names that sound familiar, rugged, or ageless. For example, Garth Brooks, Luke Bryan, and Johnny Cash are all examples of names that fall into this category. Although John felt a strong connection to the name John Foster Benoit, I found myself thinking, man, I don't know if I can go by John Foster Benoit. After a brief pause, he conceded with a chuckle that that is not really a country name. It was not a matter of renouncing his background that led to the choice to perform under the name John Foster. Rather, it was a matter of negotiating the practical realities of the music industry. John Foster is a name that is not only shorter and more punchy, but also has a certain ring to it. It is memorable, approachable, and unquestionably country. The choice is representative of a larger trend among musicians who choose to adopt stage names in order to associate themselves with their genre or brand. Artists are able to build an identity that connects with their audience through the use of stage names. Some examples of stage names include Stephanie Germanotta, Lady Gaga, Aubrey Graham, and Drake. John's decision to remove Benoit was not a repudiation of his heritage. Rather, it was a purposeful move to connect with audience members who favor country music. "It was just that Foster felt right," he added. "I am still the same person, and my name is still the same, but it has a country feel to it." The name Foster, which has overtones of caring and nurturing, is also congruent with John's artistic philosophy. The themes of family, love, and resiliency are frequently explored in his compositions. The trip that John took on American Idol Season 23 was a demonstration of his capacity to connect with individuals in the audience. The performances that John gave were characterized by genuineness and emotional depth, beginning with his audition, in which he gave a stirring rendition of Chris Stapleton's Tennessee Whiskey, and continuing all the way until his top 10 finish. He frequently gravitated for deep country ballads that displayed his warm, gravelly voice, which was a clear indication of his Louisiana roots, which were evident in his song selections. Fans were enamored with him offstage due to his modesty and quick humor, and they flooded social media with admiration for the Louisiana boy with the big heart. But the narrative of John is about more than just music. It's about striking a balance between one's individuality and one's aspirations. He spent his childhood in a close-knit Cajun village, and he was constantly exposed to the sounds of Cajun music, which included accordions and fiddles. The get-togethers of the family were always boisterous affairs, full of gumbo, laughter, and spontaneous sing-alongs when needed. His recollection was that music was everywhere. However, country music was the genre that spoke to me. Artists such as Alan Jackson and George Strait became his musical North Stars. The stories that they told inspired him to pick up a guitar when he was 12 years old. As his star continues to rise, he has expressed his intention to include Cajun elements into his music, so combining the soulful twang of Louisiana with the heartland roots of the genre for his music. "I'm working on some original stuff that feels like me, country but with a little bit of that Cajun flavor," he hinted on the show. "I'm working on it." The fans can anticipate songs that will evoke the magic of the bayou, possibly with lyrics about fishing under cypress trees or dancing at a phase dodo or other such activities. Fans' interest has been piqued by the disclosure of John's true name, and a significant number of them have taken to the comments section of Galame.com to share their perceptions and reactions. "It's amazing how awesome John Foster Benoit sounds." One reader remarked, "I absolutely adore the Cajun connection." One more person voiced their opinion, saying, "I understand why he chose John Foster for country, but Benoit is such a lovely name." John is able to communicate with his growing fans who love his openness and relatability, which is reflected in the attention that he is receiving recently. When it comes to John, the choice to perform under a stage name is but one chapter in a much wider narrative of self-discovery. He acknowledged, "As an artist, I am still in the process of figuring out who I am. However, I am aware that I want to create music that is genuine and that originates from the heart." During the time when John is getting ready to release his first extended play, EP, later this year, he is embracing the dual nature of his identity. He is proudly Cajun, unabashedly country, and forever blessed by his roots. John Foster, Benoit, is a rising artist who is keeping loyal to himself, one song at a time, in a world where authenticity is currency. He is a rising star. John's music serves as a connection between his past and his future, whether he is performing a cover song on the stage of American Idol or writing an original song about life in Louisiana. This young musician is bound for greatness, regardless of whether you call him John Foster or John Foster Benoit. This is something that is becoming increasingly apparent as his supporters continue to show their support for him.